everybody. Welcome. I'm Kathy Hester. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen today. Max is very excited to hear from you. I don't know if you could hear him whining or not. And Dawn is here, my best friend, and she said I had to show Sage the commercial so she knew why your first line was funny. I wondered if anybody would get it, honestly. So, what did I say? I can marinate the tempeh, da-da-da-dum, fry it up in a pan, da-da-da-dum, and then there's a whole bunch more that I have not recreated to fit our lovely live today. Please, as you come in, I see more people are coming in, chime in, say hello, tell me where you are, how are you personally, what's the weather like? I don't know if you can tell because of the lights, but it is sunny today. And it's kind of hot, actually. I think it's probably going to be in the 70s today. So that's kind of interesting. I see, and again, please say hello. What we're going to do today, who am I? If you don't know who I am, I'm Kathy Hester, and I've written a bunch of vegan cookbooks, and I blog on plant-based-instant-pot.com and healthy-slow-cooking.com, where you can get tons of free recipes. I also teach online cooking classes, which are very similar to these lives, only I usually know what I'm going to make ahead of time. Though we do know we're making tempeh bacon today. Josh Lajani was upset that they didn't have the marinated tempeh when we were at our retreat, so I promised him a recipe, and unlike some of these unusual time lives, I am going to write a recipe down as I'm making it. So, and then with our excess time, and the more you talk, and I would love to hear what's going on. Also, I would love to hear if you're able to stay at home in these times of stress, or if you are an essential employee that has to go to work, or perhaps you are an employee that does not have work to go to at the moment. We would all love to support you. So what I have here is an 8-ounce package of Light Life tempeh, which is just the plain old generic tempeh. Let me show you something. If you are gluten-free, you can eat tempeh, right? Because tempeh is made out of soy, unless you buy it at Trader Joe's or you get a blend that has barley in it, because barley has gluten. So this would be tempeh that is only for Cheryl, because it has soybeans, rice, barley, and millet. So just know that, because instinctually we are like, tempeh is made out of soy. Why would I need to check any labels? In this day and age, we always have to check the labels, I think. So I think this tempeh may have come from Sprouts. Also around, I have some of my pre-recorded classes on sale for $20 each, which is $15 off. And somewhere around in the video, depending on where you're watching this from, it also is a link to Instacart to get $10 off of your first order, and a link to get 25% off your first Misfit order, should you be looking to have groceries come to you. I am. Ooh, Dawn may write my recipe down. Yeah, that'd be great, Dawn. I will try and measure the things. So this pack of tempeh looks really good. Sometimes you will get tempeh that has more black on it, and you can see, I don't even know if that's a black spot, really. I don't think it is. Sometimes it will almost all be that gray color, and I want you to know that that does not mean that it's moldy or that it's bad. And in fact, a lot of tempeh you get is like that, especially if it's commercial tempeh like this. So what happens is, and you can see the white in between there, that's the mold spores that's fermenting it. So what happens is they go and they go and they go, and then they go, hey, let's make some babies. And so they turn black. And if you have a piece of tempeh that does kind of turn that black color, you can actually puree it and use it as a tempeh starter. I found that out last year. And so that was very exciting. And Max is obviously incredibly excited about it, and he wants to tell the whole world. So lucky all of us, right? So, well, I guess I'll go ahead and cut the tempeh up and then leave it over to the side. So since I'm going to make bacon and I want it to look like that store-bought tempeh, I'm going to cut them thin this way. You can cut them as thin or as thick as you'd like. If you hate tempeh, this is a great place to start, honestly. And you want it thin and as even as you can get it. Mine will not be perfect. Maybe yours will. But either way, it's going to be delicious. Okay. And oh, and Deborah, hi Deborah, she made my Greek spice lentil stew from gluten-free vegan cooking in your Instant Pot yesterday, and she loved it. That is lovely to hear. Let me see if I move this back, you can sort of see me cutting. I don't think you need to see me miscutting over and over again. You could use a mandolin or something for this, but honestly, I think eyeballing it is pretty much good enough. And I appreciate you guys making my recipes, and I hope that they are proving helpful in these times where we need to, quite frankly, eat at home a lot. Okay, so this is cut. It's over. Its stress is done, right? And if I wanted to, I could cut it the other way. But right now, we're just trying to make ourselves feel like we bought the tempeh bacon we're used to getting. I'm going in and seeing where I maybe didn't cut it through enough. And just doing that so I don't tear it when I start putting everything in, and that I don't tear it when tomorrow I take everything out and cook it. So there are a couple of ways we could do this. So the way that we're going to do it today is we're going to make a marinade, and we're going to make it in this. Okay? And this is airtight, so I'll be able to turn it upside down. So I'm going to leave it probably until I go to bed sitting like this, turn it upside down so that all the tempeh gets marinated. Tempeh tends to have a little bit of a bitter taste. And if you absolutely hate tempeh every single way you've ever had it, you could have steamed this and let it cool before you cut it, or cut it and we could steam it now somehow in a very large pan. And that can take some of the bitterness out. I find that when you marinate it, and we're using a fairly strong, smoky, sweet marinade, that's not going to be an issue. Also, if you find that you don't like tempeh and you've only tried store-bought tempeh like this that's commercially available everywhere, see if you have a local tempeh maker. It's going to be 2 to 3 times as expensive, and we have, I believe it's Laughing Hara from Asheville. Their tempeh is amazing, and they have some soy-free tempeh as well. And maybe we'll see how long everything goes on. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and cook some beans to make tempeh with, and we can look at that process and see. It's a hit or miss process, but we can do it together. We've got plenty of time, right? It can be like the little train land from Mr. Rogers. We'll check in on that next week every day. Oh, and Karen just put in her Misfits order. I hope you love them as much as I do. And again, some things will be hit or miss, but in general, I feel like even when I lose a piece or two of produce, I'm getting more than my money's worth. And if you don't, you should email them and they will refund you. But Karen, tell us how it turns out when you finally get yours. I'd love to see it or see a picture. That'd be great. And Dawn says she always steams her tempeh for 10 minutes. And she steamed it after cutting too. This tempeh just looks, and you can smell it too. This one smells more lemony, less of that bitterness. So I'm winging it. Plus, we're gonna spice this stuff up a little bit. So the way we're doing it, like I said, is we're gonna marinate it, turn it over, and then we're gonna cook it tomorrow. If I was in a hurry, I could even put it thin side down, and I could put a baking sheet, pour the marinade over, bake it for 10 to 15 minutes until it starts looking like a lot of the marinade is going away. You might end up needing to make a second batch of the marinade, turn it over, put some more marinade in, and let it bake. You could use a large like sheet pan or cake pan to do that as well, or casserole dish, and you could cover it, and that way you won't lose as much. But remember, when you lose the marinade, you're not really losing it, you're losing the steam. So it's just kind of concentrating down. And that's a way to kind of get it quick marinated. I'm being much lazier than that. So there. Because it's been a day. So I see that more people are on, so please say hey. Tell me what the weather's like. Just check in and say, I'm doing great, I'm having a rough day, whatever you want. You know, you don't have to tell any secrets, but we're here for you. And I know that checking in at 1, I started doing it so that everyone would have something to do at 1 o'clock and we would all be here together. And it's actually helped me organize my day a little bit better. So I really thank you all for being here and hope this is helping you. So first thing we're going to do is put some tamari in there. And I'm going to put a 1/4 cup to start off with. 1/4 cup tamari. You could use soy sauce. You could use coconut aminos. They have some soy-free soy sauce that I have gotten to see if I can do something with. And actually, I'm going to put a little bit more in. I'm going to put a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. So a 1/4 cup plus 1/8 of a cup, basically. Because I'm eyeballing this. Here, let me move it where you can see it. And it's a little bit narrow. Okay. So we want this for some salt. Hi, Miss Norma. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining in today. I thought we could talk about liquid smokes. Actually, let me move this to the side. I have a lot of them. Oh, here we go. And I'm missing some. I do not have my entire collection. So we've got hickory, mesquite, applewood. Usually I have a pecan wood. These are all Colgan. And you can get a gift set on Amazon. I'll try and come back and post where some of these are. This Living Nutritionals I just found, and we're going to try this out. Just cause. Pure liquid smoke. They're all pure liquid smoke. Pure liquid smoke captured from hickory chips, robust natural flavor, made with pure ingredients with no additives or preservatives. Okay, do they say? Well, I guess there is some caramel color in here. So, yeah, I guess this is pure because it's just liquid smoke. So if you have had concerns, they still catch this. So the main body of this is they burn wood and catch the condensation. But they do add some color in this that I did not realize until just this very second. It doesn't really bother me. But let's try this new one. And they're all about the same strength. Okay, so I like my stuff smoky. And let me get a paper towel because I have just gotten soy sauce on my computer. If you guys could see my computer, it's a sad little thing. Hi, Miss Brandy. She only has one liquid smoke, and she loves my collection. I know, it's like some women have fancy purses. I've got 5 kinds of liquid smoke. That tells you a lot about me, probably. Let's start off with a 1/2 teaspoon of this. Okay, this guy's gonna have to go. My hands are gonna smell like liquid smoke for a while. So we'll try 1/2 teaspoon, and then later on we may add some more. And good morning to you. How are you doing? What's the weather like in Canada, Miss Brandy? Okay. I use maple syrup, and I know some of you guys you could use your date syrup or date paste in here. You could also use a balsamic. So from the Nourish box, the whole food plant-based subscription box, I got this smoked balsamic vinegar, and I'm thinking of trying it in here. It's not super smoky, so I don't think it could go for just use this instead of the liquid smoke in here, but it is a thick cooked down balsamic. So see, it's very thick. It's definitely sweeter to me than it is smoky. It's still good, and I would use it in a lot of different dishes, but I would still use liquid smoke in this, because the thing about our bacon is it needs to be crispy, it needs to be smoky, and it needs to have a little something sweet going on. So those are the things I feel strongly about. I am going to, let's try and put in 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and we'll see if that's going to be enough or not. Let me whisk this up. And Brandy said it's sunny out, but she's not sure of the temperature. She slept in. Good for you. We all need to sleep in a little bit too. It's if you're an overachiever like me, it's very hard to not just keep going. And also, I have so much work to do. But I'm making sure that I take at least a half an hour out to read a book or to practice bipedalism, which is my way of not saying W-A-L-K in front of the dog. You know, even just take a bath. It's all good. So we could either in here, you could put garlic in it or not. You could do garlic powder. Let me get my tasting spoons out here because we're going to be using probably all of them. But I'm going to put a little bit of smoked paprika in here. It smells really good. And you can make it just as simple as soy sauce, maple syrup. You could put a little water in there if you want. We're going to see what we're going to do. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika in there. I am also going to put some black pepper to give it that black pepper bite. I am going to start at a 1/4 teaspoon because Cheryl is a black pepper wimp. Yes, she thinks black pepper is spicy. And that's just fine ground, and it'll just be nicer. And Brandy says you would be the one to use garlic powder. I thought you're the one that uses all the garlic. I like menu garlic press. Okay, let's make it easy. We'll use garlic powder then. And let's start out, and yes, I did add a little extra when I did that. Let's start with a 1/4 teaspoon. And don't worry, even though this bottle's not got as much in it, I actually have a big bag to refill it with. Okay, so got some onion powder. We could also put in some sriracha if we wanted to, if you wanted to make it a little spicy. I'm not going to do this because Cheryl is not going to be happy with it. I'm expecting to add a little bit of salt. Let's say half a teaspoon of salt, which of course, as always, you can use a salt substitute instead. If you can't have salt, never feel pressured to put salt in a recipe, no matter what they say. That's what I have to say. Okay. All right, let me taste this. I'm expecting to put some apple cider vinegar in there too for a little tang. Oh. I did not need to salt. I forgot that I used extra soy sauce. So Dawn, take the salt off of there. And hopefully you're not making this along with me. It's a little extra salty. I am not tasting enough liquid smoke, so I'm upping that to 1 teaspoon for me. I am upping the garlic from a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon. And I am going to add another 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika too. And then I am going to add just a teaspoon anywhere. There we go. I'm going to start with a teaspoon. I'm using apple cider vinegar. You could use a white vinegar. I just want it to have a little bit more tang to it. I use this with a lot of foods, but especially foods that I think should taste a little processed, like carrot dogs, right? Which is weird because part of the flavor from those is actually the chemicals that they use for preservatives. This has none of the bad, but all of the good. Okay, now let me try it. I'm going to add another 2 tablespoons of maple syrup to make it a 1/4 cup completely. And this is how it kind of goes with me developing something, right? So after you've done this once and you've written it down, then you can change it. I'm going to add another 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So that's a 1/2 teaspoon. I feel like it needs something else too. Cindy says she's learning. I smell things, and if you're not sure, like if you want something to go together or not, and kind of what we're creating is this really thick sauce you don't want to drink, right? We're just going to get little bits and pieces of this on the tempeh. So it being stronger than you would want to put it in your mouth is a good thing. I think that's pretty close, but I think I may add another 1 to 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. This is just not my usual thick grade of maple syrup. Okay, what I should do is do 1 and then taste it. I'm getting impatient. I'm going for the second one. So that would be another 2. Is that a 1/2 cup of maple syrup, perhaps? That's what it looks like. So Dawn's keeping track, so she will put up the recipe, how it ends up. Okay. That's pretty much on the money. Though it may seem like it would be overly sweet and candy-like, it's not, because of all the smoky flavors, because of the vinegar and the soy sauce. It's taking that extra sweet just to cut through. Another thing you could have done is we could make the bacon without any sweetener, and then we could pour some on after we cook it, or even while we cook it. Okay, so let's put these over here for a second. And now what we're going to do, we could add some extra water in here. Usually when if I'm really doing a recipe development, these are going to be a little shy. Ooh, I think this is going to go under really well, actually, better than I thought. Look at that. So it's almost all under there now anyhow. Chances are this marinade could be used twice. So if I actually get this all together, I don't even know if I'm going to need to turn it upside down. If I can get all of these sideways. Like this. Okay. But I could either turn it upside down or turn this over before I go to bed tonight. So this may end up being a little bit saucy, or no, a little bit salty. Let me pour all these guys in here too. I still think that it's not so salty that it's going to be an issue. And see, like, you can move it around, right? So that's another thing you could do during the day, is just kind of sit there and move it around. If we marinate it overnight, we marinate it like this, we could turn it upside down or turn the tempeh over. Then tomorrow, I think there'll be enough in there. I would not leave it marinating more than like 5 days. 5 or 6 days in the refrigerator, obviously. But if you take it out, there's still going to be a lot of marinade in here, and I bet I could go ahead and marinate that other tempeh that I can't eat for Cheryl and put it in the freezer. So when she wishes she had something to go with her tofu scramble, she could just pull out some. So that's what I'm doing there. You guys are being much more quiet than you were before. Are you guys doing okay? You're making me nervous. So, but this is the tempeh bacon, and it is ready to go. Are you guys interested? I feel like it's a circus act. And seeing me try to do something with this kohlrabi. I have never seen a kohlrabi this big in my entire life, and I have 2 of them. So I was thinking we might see some ways that I can break this down. I was looking up some recipes, and evidently some original recipes. And you guys usually, I just read the comments again. So I'm going to see. This is so thick. I just kind of want to see what we're getting into. Okay, well, it's a lot. Man, that's a lot. Okay, this part's coming off pretty easy. I was thinking of using a peeler, but I don't know if that's going to work. This is going to be very, very exciting for me. I hope it is half as exciting for you. As I try and do this, I was also thinking we might go ahead and shred some of it. But so, like, one of the things is kohlrabi schnitzel. And I was thinking that would be kind of interesting to do in the air fryer. So basically, it would be making little cutlets or steaks of of kohlrabi, cooking it down a little bit, I think, is my plan. Then covering it in crumbs and put it in the air fryer to crisp it up. Dawn says, the cat woke her up very early, so I'm tired. Sage is very interested in what to do with the kohlrabi, though. That is such a nice way to put things. Okay, let's see what happens when I try to... I know I've used a peeler on a regular kohlrabi and not the super giant alien-sized ones. So it looks like it will come off as far as the normal peel parts. So let's try that for a little bit. Now, these guys are where there were those big leaves coming up. Because so like a kohlrabi, each one of those, I came, it had a stalk this big coming up with a big giant leaf. So that's what those are. So because those were broken off, it's kind of like made a little scab, and we're going to want to get those off too. And Nora says she's hanging in there and just listening. She loves kohlrabi. She uses a knife and peel. Slice and eat with lime raw. That's great. I have a feeling, because 2 of these, I think we will be eating a lot of kohlrabi. So I am interested in all the kohlrabi ideas you guys throw out for sure. I feel like I'm dealing with some sort of something that's not a vegetable. This is so large. It doesn't feel like a vegetable to me at all. It's so weird, you guys. And so I'm going to just kind of do some slicing. And so I'm seeing if I can just get the peeler to get that off. And it's sort of working. It's at an odd angle. So let's see what we can do with the rest of this top. And tell me what you guys have used for kohlrabi. So we've got slice and eat raw with lime, and that sounds delicious. Linda says she's never seen such a large kohlrabi before. I would be in heaven. I wish you lived next door because you could have the other one. When I requested kohlrabi in my Misfit Market, I had no idea what I was in for. And I suspect no one else did either. And Cindy says a potato thing. I think it's kind of a turnip-like vegetable, only it's not as, it's like if a turnip and a jicama had a baby, is the best way I can think of describing it. And Dawn says she's never eaten it. I have eaten it rarely and not so aggressively in its amounts. Okay, let me see if let me wash up the big knife. So here we go. I just want to make sure I get the tempeh off the knife. I am thinking, let's cut this puppy in half, if I can. I have no idea what I'm doing, you guys. Whoa. Hey, can you hold this for me for a minute? Yeah, it's going to be effort. This is actually stuck in there. I feel like I'm cutting a butternut squash. Oh! Wow! Thank gosh that's on record, because that is the most strength that I've ever shown in my entire life. No, not yet again. So now I'm going to cut these ends off. Goodness gracious, you guys. I thought this would be interesting to see. I had no idea it was going to be like a drama. Kind of like jicama and turnip. Okay, and Dawn has put the marinade ingredients up. And thank you, Dawn. And Karen has only eaten it raw, and that was years ago. Haven't had it lately. Dawn said that made her nervous. It made me nervous, too. It's just, I've never had to, I guess when I deal with a squash of this size, it's always been a little bit easier, or I would put it in the microwave for a little while. So let's see if this helps me be less dangerous. You like the sound of the crunch? I'm glad. Miss Linda, thank you again for being here. So I think we're going to lose a good amount just to get these kind of pieces that have scabbed over a little bit. But you know what? Of all the things in the world right now, I'm not worried about losing some of this kohlrabi. I can't even imagine how cheap it was per pound for me to have this kohlrabi in my house. Okay, so I would say if you have a kohlrabi that's the size of your head, do not attempt this alone at home. Have help. It was very hard to cut through the middle. I definitely would have just gone ahead and cut it down the middle. And Linda loves it raw, steamed, stuffed. Tell me about this stuffed kohlrabi. Do you actually hollow it out and stuff it? Because I could do a whole Thanksgiving centerpiece with this one, or the other one, you know. Okay. All right, this one's peeled. In case you have already forgotten, this is what it looks like. Unpeeled. Peeled. Now I will continue to peel the other side. Dawn's being my research assistant. What we know about kohlrabi, says Dawn. Kohlrabi, also called a German turnip, is a biennial vegetable, a low stout cultivar of wild cabbage. It is the same species as cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, collard greens, Savoy cabbage, and guylian, which is kind of like an Asian cabbage or a Chinese cabbage. And it can be eaten raw or cooked. And Norma says you could cut it in cubes and put it in a vegetable stew. That's what I was thinking of on the days that it is actually spring weather and not summer weather. Like, so today, I've also was doing a little research, and I was thinking it probably raw, it would make a really nice slaw base, or part of a slaw. I think it will be milder than cabbage. So I'm interested in trying something like that, maybe with like a little vinaigrette marinade. Cruciferous. I know, we could also put it in the cruciferous crunch, couldn't we? We could have a whole cruciferous crunch. This is probably 3 bags of Trader Joe's cruciferous crunch in half of this kohlrabi. And they are very good for you. And they're usually softball sized or smaller. So don't let me breaking down this ginormous one scare you from trying it either, because this is not the norm. This came from Misfits, and this truly is probably the craziest Misfit that I've gotten yet. I've gotten some things pretty big, but nothing as oversized as this one. And Brandy said she'd be tempted to roast it as potatoes, and I think that's really great. Linda says you hollow some out, put stuffing of your choice, rice and grain blend with onions, veggies, and cook in a tomato-based sauce. Well, that sounds lovely. And I was seeing things like creamed kohlrabi, which seems to be a German recipe. And so I'm going to be looking into some German recipes for that too, to get an idea. But they were cooking it kind of in a creamy sauce, kind of like, it's not au gratin, but kind of like a bechamel sauce they were cooking something in. And that looked very interesting too. And that would be quite easy to do with non-dairy milk, or maybe an oat cream. I was thinking could be kind of interesting. So, anybody else got some ideas? And I know it's a hard time. Today I've had to deal with some hard people, which I'm not used to because I have you guys and you're the best. So it's been a hard day for me too. But I do feel like just coming on, doing these, making sure I'm making meals for us every day, at least 2 meals a day. And then if we have a sandwich or a bagel or English muffin or some frozen pizza from the freezer, fine. But I know that we've gotten in a lot of vegetables, and so I feel good about that. And Heidi said that's why her husband grew kohlrabi. He is German. What's his favorite kohlrabi dish? Because that would be awesome. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. And Linda said, like a cabbage roll, but without a thin leaf in a bowl. I think that's a great idea. Let me move these guys. Okay. So I'm thinking one of these, we could just, it's still quite hefty. But I'm going to slice some of this, and I'm going to store it sliced. And that's what I was thinking. I might make something like an au gratin potato or a side dish with. The other half, I think I may slice as steaks and try that schnitzel and see how that works. And then I think the whole other one I'm going to go ahead and shred on the large blade in the food processor. And hubby ate it steamed, she said, or stuffed pepper. Brandy said she appreciates my lives. Thank you. I appreciate you being at my lives. As much as I want us all to stay positive and happy, you know, the world is different right now, and things are different, and we're allowed to do different things. So, you know, it's gonna have an impact. And here's something I can show you right now. If you are cutting something that is a little bit dangerous, don't leave your hand around here. Put your hand on top and use it as a weight, right? So if it feels like something's not going to go well, or you're just not positive, keep your hands away in case the knife slips, right? So here, if the knife slips, it's not going to come towards me. So there's your safety tip after the unsafe of breaking. Well, I still have my hand on the top, but you know, it was uncomfortable. Linda says that sounds good. Heidi says that sounds great. Okay, let's just cut some. Now that's a vegetable steak. Nobody can say much about that, can they? But they will. Some people are very anti-vegetable steaks. And it could be that some of this isn't as delicious as normal sized. This part's pretty good. It doesn't taste too bitter or anything. I was also saying, particularly because some of it is cracked a little bit, sometimes it cracks with growing as far as how much water it gets when. Sometimes it's just getting a little funky. Dawn says schnitzel with noodles. And Linda said she wants to move from Canada to NC now so that she can be a taste tester. It's not always good the first time. You can ask the people who get my testing stuff. But it is 90% of the time well worth eating, if that makes a sense. It may not be perfect, but it's still edible. And Cindy says she loves all the teaching moments. Thank you. I appreciate them too. Brandy says for awkward veggies, I trim a little off the bottom to help stabilize them. Okay, I'm putting that down now. I was attempting to do that in the beginning. So I was trying to cut off one of the ends, and the skin was so thick I couldn't cut through it without it being dangerous, which is why I went for the seemingly more dangerous cutting it down the middle. It was pretty much solidly there, but I had tried to cut off, and it wasn't going to work. But I agree, that's a great thing to do, especially with winter squashes and probably kohlrabis that are not the size of your head. Okay, I don't really have much else today. Tomorrow I'm going to come on again at 1. Tomorrow is Friday. Saturday I have a class that I'm teaching from 11 to 1, right? 11, 12, 1, 2. 11 to 2. So I will be coming on later or earlier over the weekend. I'll try to still show up at 1 on Sunday. I am also going to post about that class today, finally, and I would love, love, love for you guys to join me. And if you go to kathyhester.podia, podia.com, you'll see at the top it says there is actually a March bundle, so you can get both classes for $50 because of all the crazy going on, or you can buy one class for $35. The class is for this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be broadcast live like this, but you'll have access to the recording for as long as I have anything up, which is for the foreseeable future. And so we're going to do layered Instant Pot meals. So like mushroom dirty rice and red beans cooked separately. So it's not a one pot meal, even though everything is cooked in the same Instant Pot. We're going to do a cannellini bean stew over polenta and some different fun things like that. The class that's going to be not this Sunday, but next Sunday is going to be on air frying vegetables, and we're going to do a lot of different kinds of things there. It'll be pretty cool. We're also going to try and we're going to make some crunchy chickpeas and grind them up and use that for breadcrumbs for people who can't have breadcrumbs. So it's good for the sophist people to add something super crunchy. Yes, tomorrow is Friday. Everybody who said that. There was like a bazillion. It is Friday. I know, it seems like it's Tuesday to me, and it seems like it's should be Thanksgiving all at the same time. And I work from home, and I feel like I'm in this weird time zone. So those of you who are just working at home for the first time or being at home more, everything being different throws off the schedule a whole lot. So I just want you guys to know that I am thinking about you and rooting for you. We're all going to get through this, and we're all in it together, and we can help each other in any way we can. If you have something you want to see, I'm going to be doing these lives also for the foreseeable future. As long as things are going weird, let's cook and chat and check in with one another. So I want you to, and Brandy says the same way, time is moving slowly yet quickly. Yeah, and that is not helpful to me. And so I will not be as cranky tomorrow, I promise, unless somebody makes me cranky. I have a rule of life, is I'm as nice as you let me be, and most people let me be really, really nice, and I enjoy that. So what I want you to do is take care of yourself, give yourself some self-care, even if you're in the midst of doing 80,000 things for everybody else. Help people out where you can, your neighbors, or even just checking in on some elderly people in your own life. And I want you to eat some healthy vegetables today. The more we sleep, the more we eat good vegetables and good for us food and drink water, the more likely we will be able to have our health in alignment, our immune system strong, so that we can meet head on any of the challenges we might have. And most of all, please go out into the world and spread some kindness. Everybody needs it right now. And just being kind makes you... I'm trying to think of how... It's so hard to put it in words. Being kind... Even if it's just me being kind, sometimes it just makes it feel like the world is a more decent place to be in. And I know all of you guys are kind. You're very kind to me. And just keep spreading that, because the more we all feel welcomed and warm and happy, the easier it's going to be to get through the craziness that is today. So thank you all so much for joining me. If you have questions about the tempeh or the kohlrabi, just leave your questions under this video, and I'll come back and answer them. I'll see you tomorrow at 1 to make some amazing tempeh bacon.